So given that this video should be coming out around WrestleMania weekend, I figured why not take a look at the episode that has the most to do with wrestling, Olympic and professional.
You know, you might not be here if it weren't for this cup. It's made from the finest American steel ever to come out of Pittsburgh, PA. This used to be mine, and before that it was your grandfather's.
There's holes in it. How am I supposed to drink out of this?
Bobby, it's not for...
Gotcha!
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our Patreon and merch store, and yeah, let's just do this thing. Bobby Slam. The title comes from Body Slam, which is a rather often used maneuver in professional wrestling, probably the most famous being...
He is the greatest professional athlete in the world today. Look at this. He's slammed it.
Also, fun fact, this episode premiered on December 14th, 1997. The next night, WWF Raw opened with a promo from a human colostomy bag who officially ushered in the Attitude Era, even mentioning the show during the promo.
Cartoons like the King of the Hill on Fox, sitcoms like Seinfeld, and other widely accepted forms of television entertainment.
Anywho, the episode starts off with Connie over at the hills to do her homework, though the only homework that's getting done appears to be an airplane spin, backbreaker followed by a top rope double foot stomp. We see a few of these moves later on, proving undeniably that video games do in fact cause violence in the real world.
What?
I'm kidding. If that were the case, I'm pretty sure Hank would have gone on a rampage after being introduced and becoming addicted to propane.
You've been promoted to senior manager.
Oh my God, what's next? Regional manager? God dang pimp.
Peggy plays the cool mom here. Good on her, covering for Connie when her parents called to make sure that she was studying. That sounds about right.
Bobby, you better go. If my dad catches you here, he'll make me play that song he wrote about you.
Fat white lumps about me? Oh.
Fat white lump.
But seriously, kudos to Peggy for giving poor Connie a break.
I told her you were busy wrestling with some word problems. Oh, Peggy.
I just gave you kudos and you had to ruin it. Also, professional wrestling nor sports entertainment have rounds unless it's some kind of specialty match like the Brawl for All. And yeah, we don't talk about the Brawl for All.
27 seconds left. There's the right hand, folks. It's over.
Early the next morning, and I do mean early, calling at 5:48 in the morning is an easy way to not get your call answered, but it makes sense because it's a school calling to offer Peggy a teaching spot for girls' PE or physical education.
Well, that's sort of a funny story, actually. See, there is no previous girls' coach. We sort of forgot to hire one.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. In my experience, PE is typically taught by one of the coaches. And if Tom Landry doesn't have any female sports, then it figures to reason that they wouldn't have any female coaches. Plus, they're probably getting out cheaper using a substitute teacher, making sub pay rather than hiring on a full-time teacher. So the school holds an assembly where coaches pitch different sports to the students. I'm guessing this was towards the beginning of the school year. We get a basketball pitch, but it's the wrestling pitch that really piques Bobby's interest. Mostly because he's a fan of the professional version.
Every kid who shows up to wrestle will earn a place on the team and the right to wear this.
Wow, silver piping.
And yes, there is a world of difference between Olympic style and professional wrestling, though a lot of professional wrestlers do have a background in Olympic wrestling. Some of them have won a gold medal in Olympic wrestling with a broken freaking neck.
Oh, it's true! It's damn true!
Professional wrestling and, of course, sports entertainment are about theater and entertainment in addition to physical prowess. To get this out of the way, professional wrestling is for the most part predetermined, but it's not fake. It's no different than watching theater or a TV show. Hell, it's probably more realistic than reality television.
No way! Slap me, bitch!
And it takes its toll on the body. I mean, look at Hulk Hogan. He's currently 6'4", but during his wrestling days, he was between 6'7" and 6'8". So where did that 3 or so inches go?
Phrasing?
Well, it's what happens when your finisher is a leg drop that you hit thousands of times, causing spinal compression issues. Also, somehow the show only had one wrestler as a guest star. It was Gorilla from Bill Bulk and the Body Buddies.
No agony, no braggony. It ain't right.
Who was voiced by Macho Man / Macho King / the physical embodiment of cocaine, Randy Savage.
Cup of coffee, man, yeah. Man! Wow, man, freaked out!
By the way, just to show that Savage was rather multifaceted, there's this.
It's okay for macho men to show every emotion available right there, you know, because I've cried 1,000 times, I'm gonna cry some more. But I've soared with the eagles and I've slithered with the snakes and I've been everywhere in between. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's one guarantee in life, and that there are no guarantees, yeah. And understand this. Yeah. Nobody likes a quitter. Nobody said life was easy, so if you get knocked down, take the standing 8 count, get back up, and fight again. And you're a macho maniac. Dig it.
There was also a reference to a Christmas SmackDown, SmackDown being one of WWE's 2 main shows, the other being Monday Night Raw.
And we can top the whole day off with the Christmas Smackdown.
Christmas Smackdown. Here it is. Hey, Dennis Rodman is going to be a guest referee. Boy, you know that guy's catching a folding chair to the head.
The worm.
Oh, wait a second. Sorry, Bobby. It's rated TV 14. The last time I checked, you were still 13.
Fun fact, Dennis Rodman didn't appear for WWE or WWF, but rather for WCW as part of the NWO. And yeah, I know that's a lot of acronyms.
Dad, Stephen Austin. Is that the bionic guy or the wrestler?
Anywho, Peggy gives her pitch for general sports, which could have just been called PE, and I'm not sure what girls do in their PE class for obvious reasons, but when I was in PE at Bobby's age, we pretty much just played slaughter ball.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. What?
Which was dodgeball played on a basketball court, and is the reason that this sound is burned into my memory. Yeah, I cringe every time I hear that. Connie is also impressed with wrestling, but like I said, they apparently don't have any other female sport options other than PE. I am not calling it general sports. That's like calling Mr. Pibb Extra. That's just stupid. Bobby joins the wrestling team. They take everybody that signs up, so that's an easy way to get onto the team. We see Bobby's first practice, and I gotta say, Coach Kleehammer seems a little off in his methods.
You gonna dump me? Huh? You gonna pin me? This'll teach you to pull a knife on me. Hard to stop a guy when you're hopping around all day, huh, Hoppy?
What?
All right, good job.
You okay there, Coach? Cause you do not seem like you're okay, though this does seem somewhat in character for him.
I've got a 5-pound medicine ball in this head and a 10-pound medicine ball in this head. If you were to multiply the weightage of both balls together, what would you get?
I pass.
Oh, Hill!
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
What? I just did, you little knucklehead!
Peggy, on the other hand, isn't too happy with her teaching supplies, like an oblong basketball that doesn't bounce right nor go through the hoop's net. Hank is over the moon when he finds out that Bobby had made a team. This wasn't the first time this has happened. Bobby's been on several teams, some that Hank may not have been too happy about.
Keep your eye on the ball!
Keep my eye on the what?
Stop looking at me, boy! Watch the ball!
Can't hear you, Dad.
Oh, Butterball? Butterball is dead to me.
Soccer was invented by European ladies to keep them busy while their husbands did the cooking.
Why do you have to hate what you don't understand?
I don't hate you, Bobby.
I meant soccer.
Oh yeah, I hate soccer, yes.
Though he does mention that Bobby this time joined a team without his help, so that modifier might be important. He also makes sure that the kind of wrestling Bobby is talking about is on the up and up.
And this is offered through the school, right? Not some guy in a van with a camcorder?
Smart move there, Hank. Very smart move. That's a very valid and important question to ask. I mean, you never know. Luckily, it is actual school-based wrestling, plus Hank is more than happy to get some praise for his boy.
Congratulations, Hank.
Peggy goes to the principal about getting more money for supplies. Yeah, we've seen how that can go in the past.
You know, the Carl Moss I knew wouldn't
Give
have...
it a rest, Hank. All parents care about these days is zero-tolerance drug policies and literacy. Why can't Johnny read? Why can't Johnny read? God, that gets old.
But Carl, shop is the foundation of all learning. And I tell you what, a youngster with a tool in both hands has no hands left to do drugs.
They'll just put the tools down if they want to do the drugs bad enough.
And this time it apparently doesn't go any better, with Peggy walking out of the office looking rather dejected, and Dooley, who apparently peed in some kid's locker, doesn't help the situation much.
Girls' sports are a joke.
So Peggy was told that she couldn't get better equipment because the money was earmarked for holograms to go on tickets for football games, which doesn't seem like that would be much of an issue. This is middle school. It's not that important, though, as we all could figure. Hank sides with football against Peggy, as one does.
Holograms prevent ticket fraud, Peggy. There's a lot of sick people out there.
Now, Peggy is right here. All she asked for was a few basketballs. They're like $20 at that time. I would be legitimately shocked if they could not find the money, though we also don't know how she asked for the money, and that can make a huge difference. Hell, if nothing else, it's $40. Hank, go buy a couple of basketballs. It doesn't fix the issue of the school not caring, but it fixes the immediate issue of the kids getting taken care of. And sometimes that's all you can do. Anywho, we then get a flashback to Peggy as a child, giving us an understanding of why Peggy is so irritated about the girls' PE situation. It's because she wasn't even considered to play baseball. But, to be fair, anybody can toss a ball up and hit it over the fence. It's a whole nother animal when that ball is coming at you rather quickly. Not to mention if it's a curve or a sinker or any other type of pitch that doesn't serve the ball up to the batter on a silver platter.
Can you run as well as you can hit?
Yes, sir, I sure can.
Yeah, then run over to the store then and get these boys some soda pop. That a girl.
She should absolutely have been allowed to try out. She may or may not have been a rancher at that point.
It reminds me of Missoula, my old gelding horse. Mom made me castrate him myself.
So we know that she may or may not have been pretty strong, so her irritation for not even being allowed an opportunity is very justified, especially since I doubt they had a girls' softball team back then, seeing as Little League Softball wasn't created until 1974, so it's not like she had much of an alternative. A slight aside here, the whole sody pop thing has always bothered me. I get that the writers are under the impression that Texans call soft drinks pop or soda pop or sody pop.
Oh, come on, Peg. Remember when you first moved here from Montana? You called pop sody pop?
But the truth is, especially at that time, a soft drink would have been referred to as a Coke. So the coach would have told her to go get the boys some Cokes, and by Cokes, he probably meant Dr. Pepper. That's if this flashback actually took place in Texas, but that's for another video. Hank passes down the family athletic cup. He apparently kept it in a Crown Royal bag. That's interesting. I never saw Hank as a fan of Crown, though that's probably one of the older, better quality bags, so I kind of get that. If nothing else, it might keep Bobby from losing the cup. Peggy comes up with a way to keep using the faulty equipment that she's been stuck with.
Rhythm, girls! First you blow, then you throw.
They have to blow into the ball every time to keep it inflated, which can't be hygienic, and I want to be on Peggy's side here, but this ceases to be an issue if Peggy would just go spend $20 and buy a damn basketball. This isn't rocket surgery here, folks. They need a basketball. There's a crap ton of them down at the store. Go buy one. Problem solved. I get that Peggy is trying to stand for what's right and all that, but she can fight this all she wants, and the whole time she's fighting, those girls still don't have a new basketball. Or she can handle the issue at hand and just go buy one while continuing to fight on their behalf. But to let the girls go without because she wants to fight the good fight, yeah, Peggy's wrong for that. The school is even more wrong for not handling their business, and yes, the reason why they have such crappy equipment is because they're girls. Peggy is approached by Doug and Kleehammer because the basketball team needs room to run drills, so they tell Peggy that she needs to go somewhere with the girls, which Peggy fights back against, though it's a PE class versus an actual competitive sport. If it had been the boys' PE class, I'd feel the exact same way, so yeah, the PE class needs to go outside and do something. Go run on the track, use your wonky basketball to play something. Peggy is making a critical mistake here, and it's that she's not picking her battles. She knows she's not gonna win, but she's gonna fight anyway. I give her props for her gumption and focus on what's right, but as is often the case with Peggy, she keeps picking fights that she cannot win. We get a new wrinkle when Connie mentions to Peggy that she might switch to doing yearbook, which Peggy is wholeheartedly against.
Maybe I should do yearbook instead, or chess club.
Connie, don't you say that. Yearbook is a shameful, squalid waste of time.
I would like to point out that we see Connie later on acting as the yearbook editor in What Makes Bobby Run.
But I'm a sure bet for class clown. Shouldn't that get me some coverage?
The PTA said we can't do the 8th grade poll anymore.
What? Why not?
Last year's worst dresser turned out to be really poor.
So yeah, there's that. But Peggy asks Connie what sport she wants to play, and she chooses wrestling. Now, this is an issue because she would be competing against boys, and yes, I'm aware of weight classes, so it's not like she'd be going against boys that are a lot bigger than her, but don't count out them little guys. They've got that wiry strength.
I thought you told me he was solid muscle.
Well, he's much stronger than he looks. I'm wiry.
So she's at a disadvantage going in, but she wants to do it. So Peggy makes it her mission to make it happen. Though I do have to say, it may not be popular, but Peggy is totally wrong when she says this.
Well then, we will show those coaches there's nothing a boy can do that a girl can't.
Yeah, that's not true. That ignores the fact that male and female physiology are completely different. But Peggy doesn't care because it's not her taking the risk of getting hurt. I guess it's a version of what Roger Waters referred to as the bravery of being out of range. Peggy waits for Kleehammer in his office and informs him that Connie wants to wrestle, to which he replies that wrestling is for boys. Peggy brings up Title IX, and under Title IX, since the school doesn't have a girls wrestling team, then Connie should have the opportunity to try out for the boys team, which is totally fine in my opinion. If she can compete with the boys, then cool, let her compete. Kleehammer for some reason brings up Roe versus Wade, which has nothing to do with the situation, but then again, he's meant to be shown as an uneducated male chauvinist, so that shouldn't come as a surprise.
Mrs. Hill, isn't Roe versus Wade?
Yeah, I know, dear, but you have to pick your battles.
She meets with Connie's parents, who are also against Connie wrestling, but the idea that the experience may help get her into a better college wins them over. They all then meet with Principal Moss and Coach Kleehammer, with Con and Min demanding Connie be allowed to wrestle. This is also where Kleehammer figures out that Bobby is Peggy's son.
Bobby Hill is your son? Very good. You follow trail of clues that start with same last name. Where you find this guy, Scotland Yard?
Though I'm not quite sure how he hadn't figured that one out yet. Carl tries to defuse the situation by offering up gymnastics as an alternative, but doesn't get anywhere. It would certainly help if he pronounced their name correctly, but would he really be Carl Moss if he did?
Now, Mr. Sinphone, I'm sure there's a simple solution to all this.
And the meeting ends with Connie still wanting to wrestle, her parents still being on board, and Con threatening to sue the school if they don't let her on the team. Or as Con so succinctly puts it,
You heard her. If my girl doesn't wrestle, I'll show you who put the Sioux in Super Nusapon.
You know, I wonder how long he's been keeping that little chestnut tucked away and ready to use. Kleehammer meets with the team and tells them about what's going on, with the boys none too happy about a girl joining, and Kleehammer showing that this is going to negatively affect Bobby based off of the look he gives him. Connie is all excited about joining the team, as she should be, though she doesn't seem to realize that Bobby isn't too happy about it because it's going to negatively affect him. And he doesn't seem like he really wants much to do with her at that point. Bobby tells Hank about what's going on, and he ain't happy, claiming to be all for equality until it starts hurting men. Bill claiming that women should be allowed to wrestle unless it involves pudding because it's offensive to the makers of pudding somehow, and Dale claiming that co-ed sports and co-ed bathrooms are a global conspiracy, with Dale especially being against co-ed bathrooms.
It'll be a cold day in hell before we institute that in the Gribble home.
We clearly see that the team doesn't welcome Connie being a member, and Kleehammer announces that the team will be having tryouts. Which does make sense. You want the best wrestlers on the team, and anyone, male or female, that isn't up to snuff and may be a hindrance to the team shouldn't be on it. And of course, he purposely sets it up so that Bobby and Connie will be competing against each other. So only one of them will be making the team, meaning either way, Peggy takes a loss. And this is what finally makes Peggy realize that by trying to prove a point, she's actually hurting her son. And she finally feels conflicted over who who to support because she sees Connie as a stand-in for herself when she was younger, but at the same time, it's her one and only son. How is she going to side against her own son when he hasn't done anything wrong? Min wants Peggy to choose Connie, obviously, but Peggy is still conflicted. She has no issue with Connie taking a spot that could go to a boy, unless that boy is her own son. Of course, Bobby and Connie would never have faced each other due to the difference in weight classes. Connie would have gone against one of the smaller guys if they had anyone in her weight class, and Bobby would probably end up getting destroyed by Clark Peters in essentially a squash match. Min gets Luann to help her try and train Connie, though it seems like Connie being the one to get her hands dirty rather than just taking notes would have been more helpful. But if nothing else, this proves to be entertaining for Bill. Interesting that he's all about watching women wrestling while eating pudding, considering what he said earlier.
Outside the ankle breakdown. Luann, try to stop me. Connie, you got the full color pen? You take good note this time.
Bill, for crying out loud.
I was listening.
We also see that this is a no-win for Bobby. If he wins, so what? You beat up a girl, and if he loses, he lost to a girl. So there is no winning here if you're Bobby. And some may say it shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is, and we have to deal with the world as it is, not how we would like it to be. So yeah, Boomhauer's right here. Bobby is danged.
Yeah, man, dang old dang if you do, dang if you don't, man. It'll...
Dad, what am I gonna do? I'm danged here. I'm royally danged.
Hank tries to help Bobby with training using the old wet carpet workout. To be fair, wet carpet is pretty daggum heavy, and doing this will help improve Bobby's strength. But yeah, let's cut the crap here. Bobby ain't exactly Mark Henry. We know he's not very strong. Hell, he's known for not being very strong.
Cockroach did a push-up. Cockroach did a push-up. They call me T-Rex because my arms can't support my weight.
Bobby, the flexed arm hang.
I know. Could mean the difference between life and death.
So yeah, this training goes about as well as one would expect.
Time to really explode. Keg of dynamite.
Really, I suppose it went about as well as Bill training.
Come on, you old tub of slop. Move your can.
That's it, Hank. This bulldozer's out of gas. I can either train or I can play, but I can't do both.
All right, hit the showers.
Too tired.
I'll get the hose.
Bobby gets confronted at lunch by a couple of his teammates, one of them being Clark Peters, who debuts in this episode. Though, interestingly enough, his name is not mentioned, and it isn't even on the board of wrestling matchups. They make sure that Bobby understands that he has to win or it's not going to turn out well for him. He'll probably be bullied mercilessly for the rest of his school career. By boys and girls, I should add. He assures the guys that he'll win, but he's legit concerned because, as I've said, he's in a no-win situation thanks to his mother. Connie is also in a no-win situation, and Clark bullies her as well. He's a bully, that's what he does, bully people and not blow his damn nose. No matter how this turns out, Bobby and Connie are both going to get bullied. This is a case of children being caught in the crossfire of adult issues. Connie complains to Con about what's going on and how it's negatively affecting her, asking if she could just give up, but Peggy has already caused enough of a ruckus and Connie's parents backed her up, so Con doesn't see a way that they could back down, though he does go a bit too far here in a funny way.
No, I go out on a giant limb for you, Con Jr. You lose, you no longer my son.
We see Peggy at the fun center. Yeah, that one. She's at the batting cages, drunk, letting out her frustrations about her childhood that she should have worked through years ago. Seriously, therapy. Peggy needs it. Bill needs it. Hank needs it. Therapy can be a great tool, folks. Peggy instead uses anger and alcohol to deal with things. It's not a very effective strategy, but one that people have stuck with for hundreds if not thousands of years. Also notice that Peggy created this entire situation, and then when it became difficult, rather than push forward and persevere, she ran away, failing to support either Bobby or Connie. Kudos to Peggy for wanting to fight the good fight, but her whole disappearing like a fart in the wind and when it really came time to put up or shut up act, well, she has somehow disappointed all of us.
Why don't you edit the yearbook, Peggy? No. You're so good with paste and scissors, Peggy. Oh, yeah! Your arms are so strong. Why don't you stir punch at the prom? Luann! Quarters!
The match is the next day, but Bobby and Connie are both in bad spots, with neither wanting to be part of all of this adult drama. And I feel bad for Connie, though I kinda have an issue with her having an issue with her parents taping the match and sending it to Harvard, seeing as that was the exact argument that Connie used to get them on her side. She's the one that came up with the idea of wrestling helping her get into Harvard, yet now she has a problem with the same thing she argued for? Come on now, Connie.
Mom, capture everything on video camera. Include it in a Harvard application.
Dad, I'm not even in high school yet.
The night before, apparently Bobby and Connie had gotten together and come up with a plan. And I gotta say, it's the closest thing to an out that I could have thought of. Rather than wrestling a classic Olympic-style match, they go full-on sports entertainment, with the two tying up before Bobby hits a gorilla press backbreaker, much like the one from the Vidya game earlier, shocking all the adults, delighting all the children, but Connie gets back up, lands several knee shots, which leads to Bobby bringing a steel chair into the picture. And that is not how you swing a steel chair. You gotta hit flat on flat. Flat of the chair on the flat of the back. Kleehammer is confused, but Clark Peter knows exactly what's going on.
What the hell is going on here? That's not Olympic-style wrestling.
Nope. That's real wrestling.
I do love how, after taking a badly placed chair shot, Connie has the presence of mind to not only land at her parents' feet, but also to totally ruin their recording that, remember, they wanted to send to Harvard.
I want to go to a party school. Yeah, Chico State.
Chico State, for those unaware, is the nickname for the branch of California State University located in Chico, California. That used to be known as one of the top party schools in the country, even being named the top party school by Playboy magazine in 1987, though it's apparently not like this anymore. Anywho, Connie hypnotizes Bobby, as one does in a wrestling match. I kinda wish she would have busted out the green mist myself, but hey, hypnosis is cool too. Bobby shakes it off and hits a flying body press before being put in a headlock, at which point Bobby decides to add a little color to the match, using a hidden ketchup packet to replicate blood. Now, blading is a real thing in professional wrestling. It's called blading because wrestlers use hidden razor blades to cut themselves, typically on the forehead, in order to cause bleeding. There is such a thing as bleeding the hard way, which is where you're legitimately busted open by your opponent, an example being Brock Lesnar busting open Randy Orton with his elbow.
Your opponent. That's look at this. Lesnar looking to open up Orton with those elbows.
Bobby used ketchup, and it seems to have been effective, getting the reaction they were hoping for as Bobby put Connie into an airplane spin. One, we've already established that Bobby ain't that strong. He's T-Rex, remember?
They call me T-Rex because my arms can't support my weight.
So I don't see him pulling this off. B, Peggy finally decides to show up after the match has already started. Yeah, she got drunk and was hungover and couldn't even show up to the event that was the culmination of her fight for something. And she just shows up late, hungover, not really happy when she thinks either of them won.
Oh, did Bobby crush that poor girl in her dreams?
Nope.
So that little witch whooped my boy?
No, they figured a way out. Listen to the cheers, Peggy. I think they both won.
And 3, we don't see how this ends, but it has to end. One of them has to eat the pin. One of them has to do the job. So, theatrics aside, somebody has to lose this match. And given that we later see Connie in yearbook and wrestling is never mentioned again, with Bobby later being seen in a co-ed PE class.
Hey, Maggie, if we stay together, neither one of us will be last.
I let you hide behind me in dodgeball. I'm through with you.
I'm guessing they both left the glamorous world of Olympic-style wrestling behind after this. One last little quick thing here. Peggy mentions in her drunken stupor that she had wanted to name Bobby Jeffrey rather than Robert.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to call him Jeffrey, but some man wouldn't let me.
You mean Uncle Hank?
Which is interesting because that's Boomhauer's first name.
Boomhauer!
There he is!
Hey there.
Hello, Jeff. Oh, my. It's the 15th already?
And would end up becoming Bobby's middle name.
Vigilant!
Robert Jeffrey Hill, have you lost your mind?
Always check under the bed. That's home safety 101.
Out.
Okay. But tomorrow, we work on closets.
But what's more interesting is this.
You know, Bobby, we gave you a dumb middle name.
Why would Peggy call the name she wanted to name her son dumb if she was still mad that she didn't get to name him that? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it's Peggy. So, Bobby Slam, I tried to be as nice as I could as it pertains to Peggy. I even rewrote part of the script to be nicer. But it's hard to like her in this episode. There is no amount of cabbage cheese that can fix that as damn good as it is.
Boy, that cheese.
I agree with her fighting for Connie to have an opportunity, but as soon as she had to make a hard decision, she vanishes like a damn ghost to get drunk and hit balls at the fun center. She was faced with an either-or decision and she chose neither. She created an issue for her son, wasn't there to help him deal with it, even showed up to the match that again she was responsible for creating late and hungover. And when she thought Bobby had won, rather than celebrate her son's achievement, she was sad for Connie and vice versa. I respect that the show was trying to tackle a real-life issue, but the ending didn't give any real solution, and the issue wasn't really resolved. My guess is that neither Bobby or Connie joined the team afterwards, so this whole rigmarole was for literally nothing. There were no policy changes, no minds were magically changed, and again, Peggy just came off as a coward who wanted to fight something until the casualties became too close to home. It's a funny episode, overall a good episode, but it's just another example of Peggy causing a ruckus and then running away to dodge the spray when the shit hits the fan. Though I do have to give her one thing, at least she didn't steal a turkey this time.
They do not deserve us.
Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see y'all next time.
Why I choose basketball? Well, for one thing, it's the only sport where you get to bounce a ball. You bounce a football, well, that's a fumble, isn't it? Baseball, no bouncing at all. Bounce a ball in hockey, that's a mandatory drug test right there. So join the basketball team. Thank you.